Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to spend the next hour together moving through some various platforms of yoga practice, philosophies of yoga practice, and foundational skills of yoga. So this course over this next hour will be fully modifiable. If there's anything that doesn't feel well in your body, then please shift out and do something different. Shift your position, shift your body, shift your breath. The practices that I'll be bringing forward today are ones that will be able to be done sitting behind a desk. So even though I'm here on a yoga mat, I have a chair here that I'll be demonstrating as well if you were to be sitting behind a desk. The goal of our time together today is yoga on and off the mat. So we live in a world where yoga is often publicized as being in a studio, mat to mat, moving your physical body, even potentially with music or chanting or mantras. And yoga can be a lot of things outside of that. So it doesn't only have to be in yoga clothes, seated on a mat. So I am set up in this way just for easiest, kind of visual for the yoga poses that we'll be doing. But like I said, we'll be able to modify that so it doesn't have to be done on a mat. So with a little bit of that disclaimer ahead of us, we'll go ahead and jump into our time together. So again, my name is Dr. Jenny DeDecker. I'm really excited to be here with you. We're going to spend the first few moments of our time together in stillness and in silence. So if it's comfortable for you to allow, in whatever position you're in, allow your hands to drop away from a desk or a pen or a book. Allow them to be empty and either in your lap or on your legs. If it's comfortable for you to allow your gaze to drop down away from the camera, I won't be doing anything else physically but what you see right now. So you can close your eyes if that's comfortable, or at least allow your gaze to drop. And we're going to simply be. I had a dear friend and a mentor tell me one time that I'm always trying to do to be. And it hit me really hard that we often try to simply be. And instead, we're going to let go of the trying for a moment here and just be. So if your being means that your mind is running, then that's where you are right now. And if your being means that you have an itch that you need to scratch, then scratch your itch. And if your being means that you need to change positions and slouch or exhale or lay down, then allow your being to be. There's no requirement for what we're going to do with the breath here. Don't need to change or modify anything outside of what we're experiencing. And as your stillness and silence comes over you, maybe recognizing something in your body that needs some attention. Maybe a gentle shift in your seat, softening of the shoulders. Maybe naturally you've already taken a deeper exhale. Maybe it came out as a sigh. Maybe it came out as more air moving quicker through the back of your throat and through your mouth. Sometimes when I find myself moving too fast, when I come into stillness and silence, I sometimes even find a little tear well up in the corner of my eye. Any way that the body can release. In my decades of practicing yoga and teaching yoga, I continually come back to four distinct pillars for me that guide my practice: balance, strength, flexibility, and fortitude. These are four pillars that we can experience through physical movements in our body, patterns of our breath, mindsets, and interactions. I use this space on my mat to cultivate these four pillars so that they're available to me off the mat, in my relationships, my experiences, how I see the world around me. And so, with our time together today, we'll focus on these four distinct pillars, how we can call on them through our breath, through our movements, and through our mindsets. So, in whatever position you find yourself in currently, we'll stay here for just a few more. So, if there's a leg that needs to be outstretched or you want to move to a chair from the floor, feel free to go ahead and take that shift now if this isn't a comfortable position for you. Our first pillar of balance is one that we can utilize in our political climate, our cultural climate, our work environment, and our inner self. Balancing with our breath can allow us to find an equilibrium and maybe even equanimity, even for a moment. And so we'll begin our practice together with a 4-part breath, a balancing breath. We'll allow our inhale, a count of 4. We'll hold for a count of 4 at the top of the breath. We'll exhale for a count of 4 and hold for a count of 4 at the bottom of the breath. And I use the count of 4 that we can take individually. So your count might be quick, your count might be slow, but we'll allow that count to be the same for all 4 parts of this breath. So I'll allow us all to do this quietly in our own space. I'll guide here and there, but allow yourself to fall into the rhythm that feels most right for you. Again, we want our inhale, our hold, our exhale, and our hold to all be the same count, the same cadence, same rhythm. So whenever you find yourself ready for that next inhale, allow that count of 4 as the breath comes into the body. Hold for the count of 4 as the breath settles in the body. Exhale gently, maybe through the nose or the mouth, whatever feels most right for your body. And then hold at the bottom of the breath as we rest in stillness. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 4, hold 4. This practice is often called box breathing, imagining that each 4 segments of the breath are sides of a box. So if the visualization works for you, you can imagine maybe a window pane or a box that's floating out in front of you, maybe a square tile on your floor. As we start to find our way into an even and steady breath pattern, I'll encourage you to come back to this breath pattern as we move through some physical expressions of balance, trying to stay in line, letting our body recognize the ease of an equal rise, hold, fall, and hold. In our yogic practice, physically balance is often looked at as tree pose or warrior 3, or even a version of a standing dancer pose. And today we're going to work with a little bit more mild and versatile versions of those. So if you're seated, attempting to find yourself in slightly more of an upright posture, allowing that spine to be elongated, feeling the balance here of resting between the 2 sits bones and our pubic bone, so the bottom of our pelvic bowl. Whether you're in your chair or on your mat or on a cushion, see if you can maneuver the pelvis in a way that you can feel balance. So equal pressure resting in the bottom of the pelvic bowl. Feeling the sits bones. Maybe tilting the pelvis slightly forward so you can find the difference between resting on the sits bones and the pubic bone versus solely resting back on the pubic bone, putting extra pressure on the lower spine. So allowing yourself to rock, maybe shift, maybe twist. Finding that place where we can feel the balance of the pelvic bowl resting into the earth below us. As we find the ease and balance of our pelvis, recognize the elongation of the spine. The natural curvature of the spine allows us to have flexibility rather than a rigid pull or post-like nature of the spine. Of feeling that slight movement forward of the lumbar spine, slight movement back of the thoracic spine, and slight movement forward of the cervical spine, allowing the head to simply rest, balanced on top of the spine. We'll focus less here on what's happening with the musculature of the body, but instead settling into how it feels to be upright, using the structure, the infrastructure, the bones of the body to hold us. Coming back into our breath. Whether you're seated at your desk, preparing for the next meeting, or you've taken time away to be on your mat, finding balance in our posture, balance in our breath will allow us to have balance in our mind, balance in our words, and balance in the way that we receive the information coming in. And we'll take one more breath here. If you're able in the space that you're in at the moment to take this to a standing position, we'll take balance onto our feet. So taking a moment to rise high. If you're in front of a chair, simply push the chair slightly behind you. You can also bring the chair to your side So still at your desk, just slightly over, allowing the chair to be there for support. We'll think about balance instead of in a cross-legged or a seated position. How do we feel balance when we're standing upright? Balance starts at our feet, feeling the feet press into the earth, feeling the four corners of each foot, behind the baby toe, behind the big toe, two pillars coming down through the heel to feel fully balanced in the four corners, softening of the knees. And as we settle into moving our physical body into a more challenging balance posture, we can come back into the breath. Long inhale, hold, long exhale, hold. You're welcome to use the chair next to you if that's most right, or you can simply rely on bringing hands together, balancing hands at heart or hands on the chair. We're going to shift our weight to our right leg with a gentle buoyancy in that right knee, and we'll allow our left foot to come either to our ankle or to our lower leg. If it's comfortable for you to bring the foot all the way up into the inner thigh, you're welcome to. Letting this idea of balance shift from 2 feet on the ground to 1 foot on the ground. Letting our idea of balance shift from fully resting, deepening our sense of center, but now challenging that sense of center by coming onto 1 foot, coming into our tree posture, sitting up tall. So wherever that foot happens to land, our balance is not only in rocking side to side, front to back, finding equilibrium, but our balance is left and right sides of the body, recognizing where the sides of the body can come together, recognizing that place where the foot meets the leg, letting ourselves come back into breath. Inhale, hold, exhale, hold. Finding ease in our posture, balancing down through the earth through that standing leg, trying to prevent locking out of the knee or locking out of the hip, coming back into buoyancy all the way up through the curvature of the spine and out the center of the head. And with our exhale, release, bringing both feet back down onto the earth, standing up tall, feeling softness in the knees, feeling the four corners of each foot resting into the earth. And we'll slowly begin to change sides, bringing right foot into the ankle or maybe the lower leg, maybe up into the inner thigh, feeling that left leg now grounding into the earth. Again, balance not only being where we are on the planet, but where we are in our body, left and right coming together. Where is the breath, the rise, the hold, the fall, the hold, letting the mind come to center, settling on the earth in front of us. Maybe settling with the eyes closed, letting the gaze come to the back of the eyelids. And where's our breath? Following the breath with ease, following the breath with control, and balancing the body. When we're able to recognize where our own sides of our body come together, where the left and right can meet, where we can find that place of balance and ease, we can come out into the world recognizing both sides, recognizing day and night, good and bad, light and dark, recognizing where these places exist and how we can move into them with balance, where they come together, where that spot of ease is resting within our breath. And with your next exhale, slowly release, coming back to both feet on the ground. Moving into our second pillar of flexibility. Yoga practice centers pretty heavily on flexibility, but it's not simply flexibility of the joints, laxity of the ligaments and tendons, but flexibility of the mind, flexibility of where we can put our breath. So for our next breath practice, we'll be using breath with movement, allowing the breath to be able to shift into a longer inhale or a longer exhale with ease as we let our physical body guide the movement. Thinking about being next to the chair or behind it, again, it's here for support If you are at your desk, simply let the chair be an inch or two behind you. Flexibility within the body comes from the center first at our spine. We're moving through some spine movements with our breath. With our inhale, we're going to place our hands on our thighs, roll the shoulders back, gently soften the knees, and take a standing cat-cow series. So with our standing cat-cow series, we'll roll the shoulders back, lift heart center. Exhale, roll the shoulders forward, create space between the spine. Inhale, open through the heart. So letting your breath follow your movements, bringing your body into that place somewhere between ease and pressure. So we don't want to move our body into a space that starts to condense or create pressure or tension, but instead find that place maybe just before that, maybe just before the end range. Letting our inhale open our heart center, open through the fronts of the shoulders. Letting our exhale open through the back of the heart. Continuing to move with your breath. Maybe that pressure point has moved slightly farther away. Maybe allowing that spine to open slightly more. Remembering that the spine has an anterior portion that opens with our inhale and an exterior or a posterior portion that opens with our exhale. We'll add a component here. So again, letting the breath follow the movement. With our inhale, we're going to stand up tall, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, we're going to arc in one direction, a lateral bend. Options here are to bring one arm up overhead. Coming back to center on the inhale, exhale, opposite direction. We've got soft knees, grounded pelvis, down through those legs all the way into the earth. Following your breath, inhale brings us back through center. Recognizing the flexibility of the breath here. If your movement moves a little faster than a long inhale might, it's going to speed up our inhale. Letting that inhale then create the length of the exhale. You can utilize the breath to bring more energy into the body with faster inhales and faster exhales, or utilizing the breath to slow the body, longer inhales, longer exhales. Feeling that side bend open through the lateral portions of the spine. Flexibility between the joints. Continuing to feel the weight evenly distributed between the feet. And we'll do one more here. And all the way back through center. If you do have a chair near you, you're welcome to practice in the chair, or maybe even coming back to the floor if that feels right for you. Sitting up nice and tall, feeling that strong belly. We're going to take cat-cow now to a seated position, allowing the body to open on the inhale, even a rock forward of the pelvis. That's less accessible in our standing posture. Exhaling, rocking back on the pelvis. Belly button comes in towards the spine, maybe taking it a little bit deeper in our seated position. Feeling the pelvis make contact with the earth or with the chair. Letting the breath follow the movements. And we'll do one more here. And with your next inhale, coming back to center. Sitting up tall, whether you're seated on the earth or on a chair, we're going to engage the belly, engage the spine, find that balanced posture, find that upright position where the pelvis feels fully aligned and engaged with contact with the earth, allowing the spine to sit up tall. Long breath here. And we'll move into our pillar of strength. Strength of body, strength of mind, strength of heart. Strength is what allows us to show up in our day. Strength is what allows us to stand up for our values, our beliefs, our morals. Strength is what allows us to move around in our body. Strength allows us to carry our groceries. It allows us to move forward when the wind is strong. In our yogic practice, we might immediately think of plank as a strong pose. Or maybe scorpion, something that requires all of the muscles of the body to activate. Working from a slightly different perspective of strength. Strength is required to get up and down out of a chair. Strength is what's required to join a dinner party. Feeling that breath. Feeling the strength of the low belly. We're going to move into deep belly breathing, cultivating strength at our core. Long inhale, letting the belly fill in all directions, letting the belly expand like a balloon. On the exhale, letting the exhale begin naturally, nice soft exhale leaving the body. And at the bottom of the exhale, we're going to engage the core. Think about bringing the points of the hip bones towards one another. Think about bringing the belly button towards the sacrum. Think about engaging the bottom of our pelvic bowl, the bottom of our abdomen, engaging the perineum, allowing those muscles to come in, creating that a condensing of the balloon rather than an expansion of the balloon, letting the exhale fully leave the body. This additional contraction at the low belly allows the lungs to really push that last little bit of air out of our body. As the next inhale comes, we release, open, expand, letting go of those muscles, letting the diaphragm pull down into the low belly, letting the ribs expand to let the lungs fill, letting the deep belly breath now expand out in all directions. And as the exhale comes naturally, slowly at first, as we get to the bottom of the breath, we'll engage the low belly, bringing those hip points towards one another, engaging the transverse abdominis, letting the bottom of the perineum come forward, letting that diaphragm come all the way back up into the ribs. The last bit of air can leave our body, and we're ready for the next inhale to come naturally, releasing the low belly. Long, deep inhale all the way down into the perineum, and letting that balloon expand in all directions. A few more rounds here of some deep belly breathing. The exhale activation, finding that strength, finding the courage of the low belly, finding the integrity of the low belly, finding the strength of our inner heart, of our inner compass. Long inhale expands in all directions, taking in nourishment, taking in the abundance around us. Soft, supple belly on the inhale. Deep, strong core on the exhale. And we'll move the pillar of strength into a standing posture, allowing yourself to come up onto your feet. Again, simply right in front of your desk, if that's what's available to you, or into the center of your mat. We're making our way into Tadasana, mountain pose. The strength of this posture comes from the connection down into the earth and our willingness to show up, our willingness to stand tall, engaging of the body so that we're not bending deep into our knees and we're not locking out our knees. So we have that buoyancy to work with. Mountain pose. Stand upon the mountain until you become the mountain. Feeling neutral position for the pelvis, lifting through the center of the head, standing tall. Long inhales, steady exhales, letting the body breathe into the strength that we're cultivating. Feeling the center of the head continually rising up towards the sky. Feeling bottoms of the feet get heavier, stronger, deeper, and denser into the earth. Long, strong exhale. Gentle, supple belly inhale. Continually thinking about what strength means to you. Where do you see strength coming forward? Maybe for you it is physical. Maybe you feel strength in the way that you move your body through this world. Maybe strength is showing up for you as being willing to stand in your own feet, not compromising morals or values. Maybe strength is letting somebody else know when they're right. Maybe strength is bringing your idea forward even if you're unsure how it will be received. And we'll take the strength that we're cultivating into movement. Again, strength is what allows us to get up and down from the dinner table, in and out of our desk. So utilizing strength in an internal awareness as well as an external awareness, recognizing that there is a chair behind you or visualizing that there's a chair behind you will shift our weight slightly into our heels, allowing our knees to bend but not jutting out over the toes. We'll come into a slight chair posture. You're welcome to have hands on the hips. Maybe your posture is bringing your arms up overhead. Imagine that you're stopping yourself just before you make that final descent into your chair. Thinking about those knees not jutting out over our toes, the weight is back towards our heels. Thighs are strong, knees are strong, belly is active. Maybe hands want to come to heart center. And from here, we'll stand tall, engaging the glutes as you come up. Again, keeping those feet grounded into the earth. And again, bending the knees, dropping the hips, imagining that chair behind you or sensing that chair behind you. Stopping just before that final descent. We'll breathe here. Cultivating the strength not only in the muscles and the legs and the core and the glutes, but cultivating the strength as we feel the body start to warm up, start to recognize that we're pushing into that place of our pressure point. Where are we in that moment of tension and ease? And we'll release and stand tall. Finding breath here from mountain into chair. Inhale allows us to stand tall. Exhale, we'll bend down. So we're going to follow our breath. Inhale, when that comes to you, we'll stand you tall. When the exhale comes, we'll bend. Again, hands can stay at heart center. Hands can rise up overhead. And the breath is coming with the movement. So if the movement starts to speed up, the breath will speed up. If our movement slows, we'll allow the breath to slow. As we inhale, engaging those glutes, utilizing the entire body to help us rise tall. Exhale, bending at the knees, bending at the hips. And we'll do 2 more here. Again, wherever you're at, if you're behind the chair, or if you want to utilize the chair, one hand can rest on the chair to help you come down and back up. And wherever you are, we'll release and we'll come back down to either the chair or the floor. The legs can come either to a cross-legged position or an open bound ankle position, or if you're sitting in the chair, feet will rest on the earth. And we're going to shift out of our pillar of strength and into our 4th pillar of fortitude. Fortitude or steadfastness. What is it that pushes us to continually come to our mat, continually come to our breath? The fortitude to stand up in our days, the fortitude to practice, and the fortitude to move towards a space that allows for more wellness in our being. And we'll find our breath. Long, gentle inhales, long, gentle exhales. Allowing the breath to guide us. Maybe even beginning to shift our mindset away from fortitude needing to be something active and going and moving and creating, but to fortify, to really create that ability to stand up, to move forward, to do our good work. It requires self-care and nourishment. It requires rest and ease in the body. It requires us to refill our own cup before we can be present to help others refill theirs. So as we move into our pillar of fortitude, we'll focus on a long exhale, letting the exhale be a count of 2 or even double the count of your inhale. So the inhale being a long count of 1. Exhale being a long count of 2. If you feel that double the exhale is not quite comfortable in your body yet, we can inhale to a count of 3 and exhale to a count of 5. So just slightly longer than the inhale. So an inhale of 1, 2, 3, exhale of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Finding the count that feels most right for you. Simply allowing that exhale to be longer than the inhale. Letting the length of the inhale really start to settle the heart, the mind, and the spirit, coming into that place of deep fortification, deep steadfastness, commitment to self. Again, noticing if you're pushing yourself into that pinch point, into that place where you're not quite experiencing ease, but instead bringing more tension, and back off. Maybe instead your body's preferring your exhale to only be 1 count longer than the inhale. So an inhale of 3 and an exhale of 4. Really listening to what feels most right for you. And the longer we sit, the longer we rest, the deeper the exhale can become. The more nourishing each breath becomes. And we'll slowly allow our pillar of fortitude to move into a movement, to move into a pose. We're going to move into child's pose. I'll show a variation of a child's pose if you are in a chair. If you are on the floor or able to come to the floor near your desk, we'll let our knees be slightly wider than our hips, letting our hips settle back towards our heels as our fingertips reach out in front and our forehead comes to the earth. Letting the body rest here in long exhale. If seated in a chair is what's most comfortable for you, you can bring 1 foot up to the ankle, letting the upper body rest as your forehead comes down, letting the hands rest on the leg, creating a curve of the spine. Sending 2 breaths on one side and then alternating. The opposite leg comes up, letting go of head, neck, and shoulders. Whichever position you're finding yourself in, either at a chair or on the earth, continue to let the exhale deepen. Continue letting the exhale nourish, finding that place of fortifying the heart, the mind, and the spirit, welcoming rest. If you find that child's pose is not a comfortable pose for you to rest in and you're pressing into that point of tension, I encourage you to come back to all fours. lengthening the spine, taking the pressure out of the hips, engaging that deep exhale in a tabletop posture. And we'll spend one more long, deep breath here. And as we move into our final pose for fortitude and steadfastness, we'll come over onto our back. We'll drop all the way down to the earth. I'll show a seated version as well, coming into Shavasana, allowing the back of the body to rest fully on the earth, letting the hands be open by your side and letting the feet flop open. And recognizing the power of rest, that deep, nourishing exhale. Having the fortitude to take care of body, mind, and spirit so that you can show up. Or an option for Shavasana if you're seated at your desk. Simply removing your hands, removing your eyes from the doing of your desk. Feet can be flat on the earth. If you do have a back to your chair, you can rest into the back. Hands can be at the thighs or just resting in the lap and letting the gaze settle, eyes closed. Finding yourself in a position that requires the smallest amount of energy to withstand. So when we're on the earth, we allow the earth to hold us. If we're seated in our chair, we allow the spine to rest against the back of the chair, for our pelvis to make full contact with the bottom of the chair, so that we can sit and release the muscles, release the body, and find that deep exhale. Maybe now the exhale is comfortably twice as long as the inhale. Maybe the exhale is comfortably 3 times the length of the inhale. As the body comes into stillness, we experience those long moments at the bottom of the breath before the inhale feels necessary. And maybe we find small or big moments of the mind that thought doesn't feel as important. Even just for a second, maybe we find stillness in the mind. Maybe we recognize that it's not only through doing that we can be. Utilizing this long, deep exhale to nourish the body, nourish the spirit, bring ease and comfort into the mind. Recognizing that we can't have fortitude if we're empty. It's hard to be steadfast if we're empty. Recognizing that each long exhale clears us out, makes room for that nourishing inhale to come into the body. Bringing balance, strength, flexibility, resourcing us so we can show up. And as that next nourishing inhale makes its way into the body, allow the fingers to extend in all directions. Allow the toes to spread, ankles and wrists to gently move. Slowly bending one knee and then the other. Standing the knees and letting the feet land on the earth. You're seated behind your desk. Slowly start to press your feet into the earth, lengthening the spine, extending the fingers. And when you're ready, slowly rolling over onto one side. And gently making your way back up to a comfortable seated position. If you're in your desk, slowly coming back in to taking in the lights, sounds, and textures of the room around you. As we make our way to an upright, comfortable position with our next inhale, our arms will rise overhead, breathing in that merit and the abundance of our practice. Hands come to heart center on our exhale. I want to thank you all so much for coming out to our practice together, working with balance, flexibility, strength, and fortitude, cultivating all we can on our mat so that we can take it out into the world. Have a wonderful day.